serve. We're going on now? All right.
From the Yanatelli Center in Jersey City, New Jersey, this is St. Peter's University basketball. The women of St. Peter's, with a mark of 3-3, will take on and host the St. Francis Brooklyn 1-4 squad. St. Peter's off to their best start under fifth-year coach Pat Coyle. I'm Glenn Crooks. Welcome, everybody, along with Chris Radicke. And you look at the last games for both. St. Francis losing a close one at Norfolk State, 52-51, while St. Peter's advanced to the Hawk Classic Championship game, but down by homestanding St. Joseph's, 87-58. Chris Radicke, the thing that you note with the ladies is 3 wins in 6 games, but those 3 wins match the entire total of a season ago.
Certainly a pretty good start for the Peacocks, and the key is a bit more depth this season. There are more players that can score the basketball. You look back to the most recent St. Peter's victory, a win in double overtime against Delaware in that ball game. 4 players in double figures for St. Peter's. Senior Taylor Hughes with 22 points. We have 15 from another senior in Sajana Bethea. Alyssa Bellis, third senior, averaging scoring 17 points per game, certainly playing her best ball. And then you have the sophomore, Zoe Perro, contributing as well. In our only game here at the Yanatelli Center, Perro certainly had an impact. Peacocks with a couple of good freshmen. So Coach Coyle has some more options this season.
Perro, the St. John Vianney graduate, at St. Peter's averaging 61 points a game, substantially more than previous seasons, and that ranks 6th in the Metro Atlantic Athletic Conference out of the 11 teams in the league. We're just a couple of minutes away from St. Peter's against St. Francis of Brooklyn, New York. Right now here at the Yanatelli Center, the PA asking everyone to rise, and we're moments away now from our national anthem.
Again, welcome to the Yanatelli Center for tonight's contest between St. Francis Brooklyn and your St. Peter's Peacocks. Ladies and gentlemen, at this time, would you please stand to honor America great country with the playing of our national anthem.
Time to go over the starting lineups for both squads. First, for visiting St. Francis, under sixth-year head coach John Thurston. It'll be number 1, Amy O'Neill, a 5'6" junior guard from Melbourne, Australia. Number 12, Maria Palorino, a 5'10" junior guard from Irwin, Pennsylvania. Number 14 is Alex Delaney. She's a 6-foot senior forward from Sydney, Australia. Jay Johnson is number 23. Another one from Australia, Adelaide, 5'9" sophomore guard. And number 34, Lorraine Hickman, a 6-foot junior forward from Floral Park, New York. For St. Peter's University in her 5th year, Pat Coyle, the head coach. She'll send out number 10, Sammy Lochner, 5'7" sophomore guard from Abington, Pennsylvania. Number 15, Taylor Hughes, a 5'10" senior guard from Beacon, New York. And it's 23, Alyssa Vellis, named to the all-tournament team of the recent Hawk Classic, 5'10" senior guard from Franklin, Connecticut. Number 24, Deja Martin, 5'10" freshman forward from Westburg, New York. And number 42, Sajana Bethea, the 5'11" senior forward from Levittown, Pennsylvania. Officials for tonight's game, Shannon Feck, Saif Esho, and Brandon Apple. St. Peter's University off to this 3-3 start, opening the season at Seton Hall, and nearly doubled up there, dropping that game 91-49, but they recovered in their only other home game of the season. Lafayette, the losers to the Peacocks, 64-61. Then it was a loss at LIU Brooklyn, followed by a victory at NJIT. And that at Hawk Classic, as Chris referred to that Delaware game, a 2-overtime game and a 90-87 victory, followed by the recent loss to St. Joe's in that championship game. And the win in double overtime, the 90 points put up on the scoreboard, that's the thing that really stands out, because St. Peter's a season ago in particular, not particularly strong down the stretch of games.
And the Peacocks, I think, are going to be benefited by the play of Vellis. They need that three-point shooter to open up the offense. The last couple of seasons, the Peacocks haven't had that long-range threat. That'll create some better spacing, driving lanes, and the Peacocks can start to score some more points. And tonight, against a team that averages just 57 points per game, Peacocks will probably use some pressure and try and speed up the pace of the game.
Vellis hitting 39% from beyond the three-point arc, and we are underway for the Yanatelli Center, winning the opening tip. St. Peter's in their home white with navy blue trim. They've got the shorts that are gradual from white to blue to navy blue. Here's the jumper straight away, no good by Taylor Hughes. Offensive rebound, though, underneath. It was Deja Martin who grabbed it, but then had to take it away, so it's St. Francis back the other way. Long three from deep in the right corner, no. And a high rebound goes to Martin. It's a 3-on-2 break for St. Peter's after the Jay Johnson miss. Cross-court pass, dangerous, but Lochner able to gather it in. The bounce to Bethea. She'll drive hard to the rim and lays it up and in with the right hand.
Talked about spacing. There's good spacing on that possession for the Peacocks. Floor was spread. Bethea has the quickness, caught it in the high post, and went right by the defender.
Bethea averaging 9.5 per game, second on the team in scoring, opens the scoring just a minute gone by here in the first quarter. For St. Francis, right elbow jumper, again off the rim too hard. Hickman, rebound. St. Peter's, it's Bethea crossing the timeline to Lochner. Whips a pass to Velas. She's confident with the three, and she hits.
Confident is the right word. We've seen over the last couple of seasons, Velas hesitated times, other times forcing the issue. Stepped right in there and knocked down the three, and the Peacocks with a quick 5-0 lead.
At that Hawk Classic, Velas, 73% from the field to be named the all-tournament team, and a miss off the layup, but the rebound for Alex Delaney, so fresh 30 for St. Francis. Baseline drive off the side of the backboard, follow no, and another follow blocked from behind by Martin, and she saves it along the baseline as Delaney put it up. Here's Lochner. Left-hand dribble, angles herself to the left wing, now moves to the middle of the floor. Chest pass to Hughes. Back to Lochner. They'll swing it now around to the left. Velas, she'll take another three. This one misses everything and hits the baseline. Last touch by St. Peter's.
Bit of a force there by Velas. Peacocks, even though they haven't given up a point, need to shore up the defense on that last possession. First of all, we had 3 players standing in the lane. No one knew where the ball was. Then a couple of offensive rebounds for the Terriers, but they weren't able to convert.
And pushing one up under pressure, Pallarino. She's fouled on her way to the hoop.
You have to see the basketball. That was a long pass across the lane, a lot of air underneath it. You see the basketball, and that was Martin defending. They were able to grab that steal.
Is that see the ball, see the player?
Very simple. You want ball, you man. And sometimes you get caught up in the lane, things of that nature, but you still have to have your head on a swivel and be able to see that pass. And again, there was a lot of air underneath that one.
Pallarino makes the first and the second, now 13 of 17 on the season from the free throw line. Pressure in the backcourt from St. Francis of Brooklyn, and splitting the pass was Lochner into Bethea. Lochner now has it head of the circle, whips a pass left for Hughes, and as Martin turns towards the basket, she has it taken away by Jay Johnson. 7:20 left, first quarter. It's 5-2 St. Peter's. Cross-court feed for O'Neal, and she travels with the basketball, has put up a little fake and then moved her pivot foot.
St. Francis comes in shooting 39% from three-point range for the season, so a perimeter team. They hit it at a pretty good rate, so the Peacocks are going to have the hand up and contest on the perimeter.
Lochner double-teamed right at the Peacock center of the floor, but is able to maneuver her way out of it. And a quick one-touch pass to Bethea at the top of the key, and she finds Martin for the lay-in.
Good start by Bethea, catching the ball in the high post for the second time. This time she looks underneath. Nice bounce pass, threading the needle, and the Peacocks have the 5-point lead back.
For Bethea, though, Chris, just her 6th assist of the season. This is game number 7 for St. Peter's. 3-3 coming in. Pallarino tries to put it up quickly and is defended well by Bethea and Martin. That combination, again, causes a turnover.
And a good job by the official. She had all ball, Martin did, and usually when you see that arm coming down, sometimes the refs just assume that there's going to be some contact.
So Martin credited for the block. That's her 5th of the season. Martin, the athletic freshman out of St. Mary's High School in New York. 6:32 to play. St. Peter's has it with a 5-point advantage. Lochner goes between the legs. Nice little bounce pass to the foul line where Bethea grabs it. Can't do anything with it. It's back out to Lochner. Cross-court Velas. She's about 25 feet away, right wing. Swings for Lochner to Taylor Hughes over the top of the zone. Velas will let loose, and she's now 2 of 3 from behind the arc.
And those 2 threes were spot-up threes. The one that she missed was off the dribble, so Velas very comfortable, and you could see her stepping in perfectly off the pass that came from the other side of the floor.
Well, including the game against St. Joe's, Velas has now hit 5 of her last 6 3-point field goal attempts. Here's O'Neal on the drive. She's forced to kick it out. 3-pointer on the way. No. That went off the side of the rim by Jade Johnson. Rebound St. Peter's. It's Hughes on the break. Left edge of the lane. Now kicks out for Martin, who finds Lochter. Lochter angles right. Gets a ball screen from Bethea, but can't do much with it. Taylor Hughes now has the basketball. 20 feet out left wing. It's Vellis, right elbow. Flips for Bethea, drives baseline, and it'll be an offensive foul on Sajana Bethea.
Bethea got bumped, then she extended the right arm. I don't think she got any contact, but the official from the baseline just saw that elbow go out, blew the whistle.
First foul for Bethea. Amy O'Neal pounding the ball with the right hand dribble. Goes to her left, has it poked out of bounds into the St. Peter's bench by Lochter. 21 seconds to shoot off the inbounds. O'Neal will put it back into play. Right in front of that St. Peter's bench to the left of Pat Coyle. Pat Coyle assisted by Phyllis Mangina. They've been together 5 seasons here as finally Jay Johnson knocks down the three.
Hughes needs to play her a bit more closely. It was a deep three, but Johnson's going to, look for an open opportunity.
Third time that Johnson has launched one from behind the arc. That's her first make. Crossover dribble Martin. She's stymied at the foul line. Now off the weave. Vellis lets loose off the dribble. And again, 2 spot-up makes. This one off the dribble, no good. Offensive rebound, though, St. Peter's. Vellis for 3, and it's a spot-up.
And she really held the follow through. Great extension. And the good thing for Vellis that shows that she has confidence, she's already taken 5 shots, and we played just over 5.5 minutes.
4 of those from beyond the arc, 3 of them good. She leads all scorers with 9. St. Peter's 13-5. Here's Alex Delaney, long 3. This one for the right side, misses, but the rebound to St. Francis. Corner jumper is good, and that's Jay Johnson knocking it down again.
Quick release by Johnson. She's always shot ready.
13-7. 4 minutes to play first quarter. Certainly an active beginning here for both sides. Martin hands off to Hughes. Now to Lochter. Lochter finds a little bit of a seam, short jumper as she got into the paint, missed, hit the back iron, and the long rebound went to Delaney. Fast breaking is Delaney. And a give and go with a great reverse layup. That one's put in by Palorino.
Coach Coyle not happy with that defense. The Peacocks beaten in transition. Coyle goes to her bench.
Waiting to come in will be Zoe Perro, the oft-used reserve. She's got a lot of minutes, averages 21 minutes a game. She's about to come in and has come off the bench in all 7 of the games. Here's Vellis with the pull-up, and again off the rim, high rebound taken by Casey Carangelo. Carangelo is checked in for St. Francis. All alone in the left corner, uncontested 3, and Jay Johnson and Alyssa Vellis, they've certainly led their respective teams. Johnson now with 8. Vellis has 9, and a timeout call by Pat Coyle.
And poor transition defense once again for the Peacocks. On the previous possession, they allowed a layup. That was a nice pass by O'Neal. The recognition she had on the near side of the floor. Saw the open shooter spotting up in the corner, and that was just an easy 3.
Jay Johnson, 3 of 6 from the field for her 8 points. Alyssa Vellis, 3 of 6 from the field for her 9 points. 3 minutes left, first quarter, St. Peter's 13, St. Francis 12. You're listening to St. Peter's University basketball on the PeacocksNetwork.com. Glenn Crooks and Chris Radicke here at the Yanatelli Center. Glad to have you with us. If you're watching it on YouTube, is that youtube.com? Is that?
Or you can be watching in the app.
I
Open
like
it up from the Peacock website.
I like when
You have
people are
that
watching
option.
us from their phone. It's cool. I can't do it because I really can't see anything when I'm looking at my phone. Hughes for St. Peter's after the Pat Coyle timeout, so you would imagine a play set up here as St. Francis, though, in a man-to-man defensive set. They played a lot of zone here early on. 8 seconds to shoot. Hughes penetrates, finds Pero, and she walks with the basketball.
I don't want to harp on this, but we've talked about it over the last season, the beginning of this season. Pero has very good footwork in the post, sometimes on the perimeter. Catches with the right foot. She's a right-handed player. Just not a big fan of that. We've seen her commit a number of turnovers, a number of travels over her first season in a few games.
Pero right now hounding Samantha Keltos, who has checked in for St. Francis. Cross-court O'Neal. O'Neal holds the ball high overhead, now drives past Davion Magazine, and on her way up, the ball deflected out. It'll be St. Francis basketball underneath the basket with 7 seconds to shoot. Hughes out of the game, and St. Peter's, several substitutes have entered the contest. Long jumper by Jay Johnson, no, but the follow on her way up. The ball was blocked, but regaining control is Samantha Keltos, and then now a turnover, so some frantic play as St. Francis gets it back, and on the floor it's Pero with the foul against Keltos.
Peacocks with their third turnover need to take better care of the basketball. They also need to get on the defensive glass. St. Francis getting some extra opportunities already, up to 6 offensive boards, and now a quick basket by Johnson.
And with that basket, St. Francis takes the lead. St. Peter's was in control early on. However, that's not the case recently, as Magazine now will try to set the offense, and as she whirled off the dribble, held.
Peacocks led 10-2, so outscored 12-3 this run for St. Francis, and we see Coach Thurston really going to his bench, working new players in.
Here's Magazine, the freshman from Patterson, New Jersey, and her cross court is stolen. And on her way to the basket, Abby Anderson, she's fouled on the way up. It'll be 2 shots.
Just a careless pass by Magazine. If you don't have that angle, you need to keep the dribble. Player up top needs to step out a bit further against the tandem on the front of that 2-3 zone.
22nd turnover on the year for Magazine to go along with 14 assists. There's only one player for St. Peter's that has more assists than turnovers. And as the ball loose, 15-13, St. Francis.
Another offensive rebound opportunity for St. Francis. Keltos couldn't convert. She's had a couple of good looks.
Brianna Tarabacchio is the player, the lone player for St. Peter's. More assists than turnovers. Bethea on her way to the hole is held. Casey Carangelo with her first. It's the third team foul on St. Francis with 1:06 to play. Bellis out, Taylor Hughes in. Here's the lob up top for Pero. Pero has struggled in her minutes here first quarter. Magazine, Bethea. Tarabacchio travels with the basketball. So St. Peter's getting off to the good start. That's turnover number 6 here now, Chris, in the first quarter.
And another turnover that could be characterized as being unforced, and Tarabacchio will go out of the game.
Back in is Lochner. Inside a minute to play first quarter. St. Francis by 2. They've got the basketball in their road red with white trim and baby blue on the numbers, and also Terriers front of their jersey. Here's a foul line jumper, and that's a quick take that went in and out, but another offensive rebound for St. Francis. It's Carangelo who goes up, can't do anything with it. Ball loose again. Now the kick out and the three, it's too hard. And a great box out by Magazine, and then over the top, it was Anderson.
Peacocks need to shore up the defensive glass. They're lucky to be down by just 2. St. Francis has not been able to convert. Terriers shooting just 25% from the field, and a bunch of opportunities late in this first quarter to score on the offensive glass.
9 of their 13 rebounds have been the offensive boards. Lochter with a quick touch pass for Bethea, and it eludes Sajana, and it's out for turnover number 7. 15 seconds remaining first quarter. John Thurston barking signals from his sideline as St. Francis will set up for the last shot. Keltos now on the drive. It's Carangelo, and she puts it up and in off the glass with the right hand. And there's the buzzer signifying the end of the first quarter. St. Peter's outscored 15-3 over the final stages, and they trail by 4.
And 12-0. The last Peacock points were at 4:39 of the quarter when Bellis made her third 3. Since then, the Peacocks going through a drought. St. Francis taking a 4-point advantage. So certainly was a good start for St. Peter's. They got off to the quick start midway through the quarter. They had 10 points. Talked about Bellis hitting that 3, so 13 points with 4:39 to go. We talked about how the Peacocks are more adept on the offensive end, and then those turnovers, St. Francis getting on the glass, and the tide certainly has turned.
St. Francis with just 1 victory this year out of 5 against Army on November the 16th. They've lost 3 straight. They're trying to make amends tonight here in Jersey City. After 1 quarter, it's St. Francis of Brooklyn 17, St. Peter's 13. You're listening to St. Peter's basketball on the PeacocksNetwork.com. St. Francis of Brooklyn 17, St. Peter's 13. St. Francis will have the ball, attacking the basket to our right. Glenn Crooks, Chris Radicke observing courtside here at the Yanatelli Center. Quick turnaround, right elbow is good to start the second quarter. Carangelo.
I don't think she meant to shoot it off the glass. Obviously, Coach Thurston looking for the quick hit off the timeout between quarters, but that was a contested jumper. Unfortunately for St. Francis, it went in.
Carangelo now 2 of 3 for the field, 4 points, 2 rebounds, and there's a good decision by Lochter to drive hard to her left and laid it in, uncontested.
She was pressured on the perimeter, had the quickness advantage on Delaney. Lochter right to the basket with her first 2.
Delaney handling the basketball, angles left, hands off to Keltos, back to Delaney, lob to Keltos. Ball knocked out. It's still St. Francis basketball. 18 seconds to shoot. To the left of the basket, it'll be Delaney triggering. Delaney looks to bounce in tight, and it's stolen. Carangelo, the target, taken away, though, by Magazine. Magazine pulls up as she drives into the front court. Now it's Taylor Hughes, left quarter, back to Magazine. Magazine driving and met nicely by Keltos. Now it's Lochter. Lochter with a left-hand dribble pulls up. Bethea, 17-footer is good. Just inside the arc.
Long 2 for Bethea. You know, nowadays people try and avoid those long 2s, but Bethea in rhythm, how to take that shot. She has 4, needs 10 more for 1,000 in her career.
And an overplay by Lochter nearly came up with it. Well done, good hands, knocks it out. It's another St. Francis trigger to the left of the basket, and again it'll be Delaney. Samantha Meyer Her first action of the evening in for Sajana Bethea. And this time Delaney plays it safe, getting the ball to Keltos, who finds Carangelo deep. The little jump hook misses, follow, no. Carangelo grabs it again and is tied up by Meyer. Possession hour in favor of St. Peter's.
11 offensive rebounds for the Terriers, so I want to keep harping on the same things, but the Peacocks really need to box out and get on the glass. And you know St. Francis is going to look for that quick shot. They're going to take threes. They're going to be long rebounds. You still have to stay on your man, seal off, and go get that loose ball.
Fortunately for St. Peter's, Chris, St. Francis has only scored 2 second chance points off of all those offensive rebounds. There's the long rebound off the miss by Magazine. St. Peter's fresh 30. Magazine gets a screen from Martin, who rolls to the hole. Magazine instead goes to Meyer, top of the circle. Pounds the dribble once, finds Lochner, and posting right in at the edge of the lane is Martin, and she whirls and hits it too hard off the glass. St. Francis back the other way. 7:40 to play. The Terriers lead it 19-17. At the foul line, fadeaway over Meyer. No good by Carangelo. Ball loose on the floor. And yet another offensive rebound opportunity. And St. Francis will have it as it's Delaney tied up this time as she went on the floor.
Coach Coyle wanting some more perimeter offense in the game. Magazine goes out. Vellis back in.
So Vellis, Hughes, Lochner, Martin, and Meyer. 4 of the 5 starters. It's just Meyer in for Bethea. For St. Peter's, down by 2. It's O'Neal driving for St. Francis. Nice little hesitation move, looking to draw the foul. Lochner does well, though, to keep her position. St. Peter's back the other way, right to left. Vellis dribbles out of pressure in the corner to Lochner. Finds Hughes, who has a seam. Meyer, though, late cutting to the hole. It's turned over. Ball was deflected as well on its way to Meyer. There's a baseline drive. Puts it up with the right hand. No, but a foul as Delaney worked her way hard along that baseline.
Peacocks really struggling to score the basketball. Hughes needs to get involved. That time she was about 7 or 8 feet away in the lane. Looked like she was trying to pass it to Meyer, lost control of it. There's a case where Hughes needs to drive through contact, get to the foul line, or shoot that runner in the paint.
First free throw missed by Delaney. Second on the team in assists. And also second on the team in scoring, 8.5 per game. Makes the second. It's St. Francis by 3. Vellis holds the ball high over her head, just to the left of the St. Francis bench. And Coach John Thurston. Ball is swung. Now it's Martin. Caught in the paint under the basket. And it's a 3-second violation on Martin.
Looked like Martin predetermined what move she was going to make. Almost surprised that she had some space, didn't have the defender leaning on her back, turned over the left shoulder. She needs to spin to the other side and use the left hand.
Lochner picks up O'Neal, who gets the screen from Delaney. Now a long 3 by Jade Johnson. She's hit a couple of those, but this one goes off the back iron. And the long rebound to Hughes, now Meyer. Meyer left of the circle. Cross court to the right to Vellis. She dribbles into the paint, and a little backhand feed for Martin. It's another turnover as St. Francis gets it. Fast break, and the smart holdup by O'Neal. Now has the ball inside to Tori Wagner. Wagner looking clumsy underneath, puts the shot up. It's blocked, gets it back, and now puts it up again. And you see now it's St. Francis still with the ball as the ball last touched by St. Peter's. It'll be O'Neal, left of the St. Francis basket. Puts it in quickly to Johnson. Johnson fouled just as quickly as the ball was entered. 6 minutes to play, second quarter. St. Francis 20, St. Peter's 17. Scoop shot, no. Follow, yes. So Jay Johnson.
Not too long ago, that'd be called a self-pass, but a few years ago, they made the change. You're making an effort at the shot, but basically Johnson threw almost an alley-oop to herself. I guess they can't give her an assist on that, too.
Well, if they change the rule, they should go full bore. A miss by Bethea off the iron, and the rebound Delaney. Quickly, St. Francis, their biggest lead is 15 right now. In and out with the three. That was Delaney from the right side. That was from quite a distance, 23 feet. Velas will let loose with a three. In and out, deep right corner. Ball batted around and taken by Tori Wagner for St. Francis. O'Neal pushing the basketball. It's 3 versus 3. O'Neal manages to run past Meyer, or Bethea rather, and missed the shot, but she squeezed in for her own rebound, and then it was Meyer with the foul from behind.
Meyer didn't do a great job there of stopping the basketball, didn't get the feet moving. It was a 3-on-3 break, and the Peacocks have gotten lucky. They could be down by a lot more than this. St. Francis has missed a bunch of easy opportunities.
St. Francis has taken 33 shots to St. Peter's 17. It's 22-17 on the scoreboard. St. Francis by 5. We just moved inside of 5 minutes here in the second quarter. Maria Pallarino finds a straightaway three off the assist to Alex Delaney, and Delaney knocks another one down, Chris.
You can't give these players room on the perimeter. You notice when they shoot, they're not using their legs much. They have very quick releases, and just a couple of extra inches of space allows them an open shot.
And here's a nice feed from Bethea, her second assist of the game, and Ashley Powell converting with the lay-in from the right of the hoop, 25-19. And that bucket a moment ago by Delaney, her first made field goal. I made a mistake. It seemed like she had one or two. She certainly has had an impact in the game. Here's a straightaway three, this time taken by Pallarino, and it's off the mark. Here comes Taylor Hughes to Lochner. Lochner around a screen from Ashley Howe. Ball stolen by St. Francis. It's Jay Johnson. Johnson, she'll take it herself from behind. Taylor Hughes got what she thought was all ball, but that foul may go on Haley Delonzo. We'll wait. Nope, it'll be Hughes. Her first. St. Peter's with 4 team fouls here in the second quarter already. Still 3:43 left. Your score is St. Francis 25, St. Peter's University 19 on the PeacocksNetwork.com. Jay Johnson, 12 points to lead St. Francis. Alyssa Velas has 9 to top St. Peter's, although those came early in this contest, all in the first quarter, as St. Peter's trailing St. Francis of Brooklyn 25-19. And with 3:43 left here in the second quarter, it's Jade Johnson at the line. She was fouled in the act by Taylor Hughes. Made a strong baseline move to get past Hughes, who thought she got all ball.
The Terriers already have taken 35 shots. That's due to 14 offensive rebounds and 12 turnovers by the Peacocks.
Johnson made the first, missed the second. Taylor Hughes this time secures the defensive rebound for St. Peter's, who will set it up with Lochner. Around a screen from Howe. Can't do anything with it, so it comes back the other way. It's Hughes, left wing. At the top of the circle, Haley Delonzo. And now a long three is good by Lochner.
Lochner has to be part of the offense. We saw earlier that she just turned down a drive, tried to pass in close quarters, a turnover. She could score the basketball. When she's open, she needs to look to shoot it.
Just the fourth three-point field goal of the season for Lochner, and it pulls St. Peter's to within 4. Here's a bounce in low. Johnson caught underneath the basket, and the 6'2" Howell certainly altered that shot by Johnson. St. Peter's has it once again with Hughes. Backs up on the dribble. Now to Lochner, and Bethea was coming in to set the screen and did it a little too heavily.
Oh, she got the worst of it. She ended up on her back and got the foul. And it's her second.
Her second, 5th team foul for St. Peter's. 2:40 left here in the first half of play. Looks like Precious Featherson will probably come in for Bethea in a moment. This is Jade Johnson, who has done most of the damage for St. Francis. And you can hear the supporters from behind us calling for the offensive foul. They didn't get it, as the 3 ball is no good by Alex Delaney for the right side, hit high off the rim. Magazine has it for St. Peter's, and she holds up the index finger with the right hand to set up a play between her and Hal. Hal, though, lost the handle. Another turnover for St. Peter's, number 14. On the baseline, O'Neal. In the right corner, she finds DeRenzo, and Jay Johnson with another 3-point field goal, her 3rd of the game.
Great job by St. Francis breaking down the defense, moving the ball around the perimeter. First it was the drive into the paint, then the kick out, and you can't give her room.
Here's Hughes into the paint, kicks out for Delonzo, no good. Follow by Hal, misses, and now Taylor Hughes has it. Fresh 30 on the drive. It's Delonzo, puts it up off the glass, no. Followed by Hal, no. Now it's Bethea putting it up, no. It rolls off the rim, and it's now tapped out. Last touch by DeRenzo for St. Francis, and well, when you can't convert a layup, that's the struggle.
And the officials letting both teams play underneath. We've seen some contact on each end of the floor, so they're being consistent. But at some point, you just have to power up and finish there. Peacocks trailing by 7.
And to the top of the circle, that's a rattling the rim and putting it through. Davion Magazine, her first points. St. Peter's trails by 5. Top of the key, DeRenzo. O'Neal swings it now for Delaney. Gets the step on Featherson and draws the foul. Delaney just exploded. Featherson grabbed her. St. Peter's over the limit, so for St. Francis, Delaney at the line. She's 3 of 6 for the season. Makes the first.
And something you don't like to see, certainly at home. You have 5 fouls, and the opponent has 0.
This is the second. St. Peter's grabs it inside a minute. The Peacocks down by 6. Magazine working around a screen from Howe. She'll pull up for the jumper, misses, but the rebound off the rim, bounces taken by Magazine. Here's Hughes, left baseline. Bottled up there, outside for Howe. Her foul line jumper high off the rim. Rebound St. Peter's. Taylor Hughes with another. So St. Peter's over the final minutes have been able to crash the offensive boards themselves. But second chance points, 5 for St. Peter's, only 4 for St. Francis off of 14 offensive rebounds. Here's a nice pass in deep to Featherson. Her shot blocked with 10 seconds on the shot clock. St. Peter's will have it right at their own basket.
Good defensive play by Delaney. She backed away to avoid the body contact and the foul, but still was able to get the ball.
Magazine pounds the ball, lobs it to Featherson, drives right edge of the lane, puts it up with the right hand, no. A whistle and a foul. I believe that's before the shot.
So shot clock now off. St. Francis with just 1 team foul. Peacocks with 14 seconds.
Down to 10, and Magazine is fouled. So these are times where you can give a foul and break the rhythm of the set. Alex Delaney comes back in for Amy O'Neill. O'Neill, that was her second foul, so no sense risking that with 10 seconds. Here's Featherson. Powers her way to the basket, too hard off the glass. 3 seconds left. Alex Delaney at midcourt gives the ball to DiRenzo. St. Francis fails to get the shot off, but that won't disturb them very much as they take a 30-24 lead into the locker room.
It was a fast-paced first half. Peacocks got off to the good start. And then the turnovers, the offensive rebounds for St. Francis. They started to knock down some threes, led by the play of Jade Johnson. And the Terriers have to be happy here. You're on the road. You're up by 6, coming back after St. Peter's got off to the quick start. And the St. Peter's offense certainly out of sync.
Well, Jade Johnson has matched her career high here in the first half. She's got 16 points on 6 of 13 for the field, 3 of 7 from behind the arc, and she leads all scorers as St. Francis of Brooklyn, New York, with the lead over St. Peter's University here at the half. So we'll take a break and be back with second half action in just a few minutes. Your score once again, St. Francis University 30, St. Peter's 24. You're listening to St. Peter's University basketball on the PeacocksNetwork.com. We're at halftime at the Anatelli Center. Glenn Crooks along with Chris Radicke, where St. Francis of New York, coming in at 1 up and 4 down, have the 6-point lead over St. Peter's University. It's 30-24. St. Peter's trying to work their way over the 500 mark through 7 games, which may sound fundamentally not particularly exciting, but for a team that won only 3 games all of last year, it is meaningful. 2 other games tonight involving MAC teams, not going well for them either. Monmouth at Navy, trailing 41-14 at the half, while Seton Hall has the edge over Marist, 36-20. There's 4 minutes remaining in the second quarter. Here, St. Peter's University got off to a pretty quick start. They led at one point 13-12 on 5 of 11 shooting, and Chris, since then, they had made only 5 of 18 shots and haven't been to the free throw line a single time. I don't know how significant that is.
Well, we talked about the foul situation. St. Francis, some fouls to give at the end of the second quarter. The Peacocks not driving the ball to the basket enough. Once they started turning the ball over, the pressure cranks up a bit. You're taking contested shots, making poor decisions. St. Peter's didn't score over a 5-minute span that finished the first quarter and extended into the second. Still, when Lochner laid one in early in the second quarter, the Peacocks were down by 4 points. So they're still right in this ball game, down by just 6. Just if you're a Peacock fan, you're not happy with how they got there.
Peacocks shooting 35% on 10 of 29. St. Francis 10 of 38 for 26%. So there lies the story as to why this game is close. 6-point advantage for St. Francis, led by Jay Johnson with 16, Alyssa Vellis with 9 for St. Peter's. And she scored those early, though, Chris.
Absolutely. She had some spot-up opportunities. The ball movement was good. Vellis gave a big boost to start the ball game. Peacocks then just really struggled. Again, some of those turnovers were careless turnovers, and then the Peacocks just didn't find any rhythm. St. Francis shooting just 26% from the field. St. Peter's shooting 35%. But you talked about the foul line. You also talked about St. Peter's having 9 less field goal attempts than the Terriers. That due to the turnovers and the offensive rebounds for St. Francis. So the Peacocks started to get on the offensive glass late in the second quarter.
And the Peacocks start with the basketball here to begin the third quarter. Deja Martin driving into Lorraine Hickman. And it's a turnover for St. Peter's here just 15 seconds into the third quarter.
Before the game, we talked about St. Peter's speeding it up, maybe playing some pressure. Now we see that pressure come to start the second half.
St. Francis, though, little issue getting past the Peacocks and across the timeline, where Amy O'Neill waves help away in front of her own bench along the right wing. Ball's now swung to Alex Delaney, who had 5 points in the opening half. Second leading scorer for St. Francis. She finds Jay Johnson underneath. Ball batted away and picked up off the floor by Lochner for St. Peter's. So a turnover here early on for St. Francis. Hughes manages to hold on to the pass from Lochner, who gets it back. Circling to her right. Now to Vellis. Vellis finds Bethea, who is 10 points shy of 1,000 for her career over the first half with 4. Here's the turnaround by Lochner. And it's no good. Hit the front of the rim and bounded to the left, while St. Francis comes back the other way, right to left. Second half in their road red with white trim on the shorts, blue trim for their numbers and the insignia in the front of their home jersey. Here's the drive by Hickman, the kick out, and off the back iron Delaney. But as the story of the first half started to be retold, another offensive rebound for St. Francis. Awkward drive by O'Neill, and she manages to keep control. It's Jay Johnson. Pounds the ball once with her left. And here on the backdoor lay-in, Delaney.
We saw it on the first possession of the half for St. Francis. Peacocks caught not seeing the basketball. We saw in the first half, and there another head turn results in another 2 for the Terriers.
And an 8-point deficit for St. Peter's. Martin forcing it up. Fortunate as she was hacked by Alex Delaney.
That's as basic as it gets. You have to see the ball. And if you spread the floor like St. Francis has done, you got to be really careful about those back cuts. And that's what St. Francis can do to you. We'll see if the Peacocks pressure on a made second free throw. If St. Peter's is going to press, you really have to know where Johnson is on the floor, because the last time down the floor, she was in the front court, caught it, and you know she's going to be ready to shoot the ball from three-point range.
Deja Martin, the freshman, makes both free throws. She's now 5 of 8 on the season. 7:53 to play, third quarter. St. Peter's trailing by 6. And again, full court pressure. Taylor Hughes seemed to bother Pallarino for a moment, but then she finds Delaney who knocks it down for the right.
Great job by the Terriers getting the ball into the middle of the floor against the St. Peter's press.
Delaney has opened up the second half strong. She now has 9. Layup too hard off the glass by Bethea. She drove right, and it's Delaney who grabs the rebound, pushes into the front court. Jay Johnson backs up on the dribble, left wing, works around a screen from Hickman, and she travels with the basketball. 7:18 to play. St. Peter's, they trail 34-26. Game 7 of the season for the home team. Here's the drive by Martin. It's good with the left hand. Lochner the assist. And 1 for Deja Martin.
Good aggressive drive by Martin. Peacock with 2 players in the high post. We saw Bethea scoring a similar play in the first half. You're isolated. You have the quickness advantage. You can definitely get to the basket.
Deja Martin, her second field goal. Misses the chance to get the three-point play as it hits hard off the rim, that free throw. Pallarino to Johnson. Here's a cross court. Jay Johnson for 3 and knocks it down.
You can't give her an inch. And she just had about 6 inches of space there. A very quick release. Doesn't use her legs much. Doesn't jump, but she can hit from long range.
The Australia native now with a career high 19 points after that three-point field goal. 4 of 8 from behind the arc. St. Peter's back at the other end. Velas, as the ball was knocked out. Stretch 30 for St. Peter's. Velas between the circles, holds it high overhead, now flips it left for Magazine. Davion Magazine, cross court to Velas. Now she'll drive towards the baseline. Jump pass up top to Lochner. Now to Magazine. Her 3 is no good. She hits the deck on the follow through, and be a foul called on St. Francis and Jay Johnson.
Loose ball foul.
DiRenzo underneath, not Johnson. As Magazine was trying to draw the foul on the three-point field goal attempt. She'll trigger left of her own basket, 6:24. Remaining third quarter, lobs for Martin. Left elbow. Hand off to Magazine. It's bobbled by Magazine as she had it poked away momentarily by Johnson. Magazine working against Johnson, still with the basketball. Now little chest pass to Martin. Drives left, puts it up and in with the left hand. And there was a whistle and a foul, and it's going to go against Martin.
Shannon Feck with the call along the baseline. Felt that Martin lowered the shoulder. Was some contact there, so that's a big swing. Martin could have been at the line looking for a three-point play. Now St. Francis gets it back, leading by 9.
With Jay Johnson up top, open 3, Pallarino misses, but there's Johnson for the offensive rebound. She just knifed her way in, just underneath the left side of the basket. Running the baseline is Hickman for the catch. She tries to find Johnson underneath, who slips a pass cross court, and it gets away from Pallarino. Inaccurate pass from Johnson on this occasion, and turnover St. Francis.
But you can see the movement by St. Francis cutting to the basket, and then if you collapse inside, they're going to shoot that 3. Very difficult to guard right now. And all those offensive rebounds, all those extra field goal attempts, yes, they haven't hit a high percentage, but it certainly wears down the defense.
Martin much more active here in the second half. Bethea with the assist, lobbing to Martin, middle of the paint, back to the basket, and then whirled her way in and knocked one down off the glass, 37-30. St. Peter's. The pressure this time is causing some issues for St. Francis, but finally, after 10 seconds, they cross the timeline. Here's a pass that's knocked down, hits the floor. Hickman, who bobbled it momentarily, puts up the shot. No, and the rebound loose. Two players on the floor, one for St. Peter's, Martin, and the other, Hickman, for St. Francis. And it'll be St. Francis basketball when we return. There is a timeout on the floor with 5 minutes to play in the third quarter. It's St. Francis University 37 and St. Peter's University 30 on the PeacocksNetwork.com. We've got 5 minutes remaining in the third quarter. Yanatelli Center in Jersey City. Women's basketball as St. Peter's University trails St. Francis 37-30. St. Peter's coming off the 87-58 loss to St. Joe's in the Hawks Classic Championship game. While St. Francis, they lost a tight one to Norfolk State at home, 52-51. St. Francis will have it when play resumes. And here's the play out of the huddle. O'Neal to Johnson in the lane, Chris.
Good cut by Johnson, but Bethea helping out, had her head turned, didn't see the pass coming, and Johnson, an aggressive scorer, got right to the bucket.
Bethea making up for it back at the other end with her own power move and put on a good fake at the top of the key. 6 points now for Bethea, 9.92 for her career. Lob into the front court to DiRenzo as St. Peter's put the pressure on. O'Neal, right wing, lobs deep for Carangelo. Back out to Jay Johnson, and boy, she knocks down another three from deep.
Not only did she have a couple of feet, Delonzo finally closed out, but she had her hands down.
That one came from the left. We've seen her shoot it from the right. She's also hit a three from straight away. She's got 24 points. Bethea trying to answer with a three ball of her own. It's no good. St. Francis back the other way, right to left. And here's Johnson with the assist now as she finds Carangelo for the lay-in.
St. Francis playing 5-on-4. Delonzo behind the play. Martin didn't realize that she had a Terrier behind her.
And it's 44-32, biggest lead, Chris, for the Terriers. Bethea holds it high overhead, goes to her right to Delonzo. Now finds Taylor Hughes, backs up on the dribble. She's at the top of the circle to Magazine. For the right corner, here's the jumper by Martin. It hits the rim, weak side rebound for Carangelo. Here's a 3-on-2 break for St. Francis. It's O'Neal with the scoop layup, and it's in. And, well, the best you can say there is the defending was inadequate. Not holding on the break, but O'Neal just managed her way in easily.
O'Neal got into the paint, and typically she looks to pass the ball. left off or just assuming that the pass was going to come, and O'Neal realized she had an opening, laid it up and in, and the Peacocks are in a 14-point hole.
For O'Neal, her first basket of the game. And it gives St. Francis a 46-32 lead over St. Peter's University. Jay Johnson having the night of her life. She's blown away her career high, which was previously 16. She's got 24, and we still have 3:12 to play in the third quarter on the PeacocksNetwork.com. Well, the stat that really jumps out at you is in the turnover department, where it's been a struggle for St. Peter's not only this season, but in previous seasons. Pat Coyle, a guard herself at Rutgers University, playing in 2 Elite Eights, 2 Sweet 16s. It must be difficult for her. St. Peter's, though, off to their best start under Coyle in her 5th season at 3-3, but 16 turnovers tonight to just 6 for St. Francis. St. Francis has turned those miscues by St. Peter's into 18 points, and here's another as Hughes has her pocket picked by Amy O'Neal. She went up. She's kind of smiling now. She goes back the other way to defense. She thought she was fouled by Hughes. All right, it's St. Peter's back-to-back turnovers. Lochner has it, drives the left side, lays it up with the left hand, too hard off the glass. St. Francis on the board and back the other way with O'Neal. Abby Anderson flips a pass to Dorenzo. Now it's O'Neal again, head of the circle. In the paint, it's Allie Lassen. She drives, puts it up. No, the follow. No, too hard. And this time it looked like St. Peter's had it, but the ball loose again. And St. Francis with a new 30 on the shot clock, and they'll set up with a 14-point lead and 2 minutes to go in the third quarter. Here's a nice crossover. Pallarino, as she buzzed by Sajana Bethea and drew the foul.
Good crossover is right, and then Pallarino protecting the ball with the left hand, using the right shoulder to ward off Bethea. Sure she'd like to have that one back. Good chance at a 3-point play.
Pallarino, a good free throw shooter, now 3 for 3 as she made the first. 14 for 18 on the season. That's 75%. Bethea out and Zoe Perro in. Outside of the good start by St. Peter's, what did you say they led? It was 13-5, I know, at one point.
Correct.
Now down 47-32. Long 3 by Velas. Hits the left side of the rim, and before Martin can track it down, it bounds into the St. Peter's bench. So it's St. Francis basketball again. Pat Coyle calls for the pressure. 2-2-1 set up by St. Peter's. St. Francis has it in the forecourt, lobs over the top of the zone. Here's a shot up, and it rolls off the rim. No, that's Abby Anderson. She bats it away, looking to get another offensive rebound for St. Francis, but Velas finally gains control for St. Peter's, and she'll drive it into the front court herself. Hands to Perro, back to Velas, and now it's Lochner looking to set things up with the left arm. She fires one to Deja Martin, who misses the baseline layup, drove it nicely on the left. St. Francis back the other way, right to left, third quarter. A minute to play, and Kayla Hughes goes up high to block the shot, and also got a bit of the body of Amy O'Neill.
O'Neill, very aggressive, getting into the paint. She's looked for a shot on the last couple of possessions. And as fast as St. Francis has played, you got to give them credit, just 7 turnovers.
O'Neill gets 2. She makes the first. Amy O'Neill now with 3 points on the evening. One of the 3 Australians on the roster, averages just under 6 a game. Now with 4. Inside, a minute to play, third quarter. Lochter bounces for Martin at the high post. Her cross court to Perro, knocked away, regained by Lochter. Lochter double team, now to Perro. Hits a long looping 3, and that's a big shot for St. Peter's.
First 2 of the night for Perro. Remember, Hughes is still scoreless, and both those players are going to have to be involved if the Peacocks are going to chip away at this 15-point deficit.
Here's the double team right at the midcourt line on Samantha Keltos. And she manages to keep control as she finds O'Neill. Right corner, Anderson. O'Neill has it back as the ball is swung to the left flank. Now on the drive with the right hand as Martin was defending on Allie Lassen. Lassen did not go up strong and hit the backboard and then the side of the rim. And it's St. Peter's basketball with 10 seconds left here in the third quarter. Shot clock is off. Here's Perro. She's looking to take charge, drives, and then kicks out for Bellis. And her high arcing 3 short off the rim. And that'll do it here in the third quarter. And St. Peter's has a lot of ground to make up in the final 10 minutes, Chris.
Peacocks struggling offensively in the third quarter. Had some layup opportunities that they missed. That was a good look for Bellis to end the half. Was able to step into a 3. Just came up a bit short. So a 15-point hole for the Peacocks. They scored just 10 points in the third quarter.
And we're outscored 17-10. Check that, 19-10 by St. Francis. So 3 quarters complete for the Yanatelli Center. In St. Francis, 49, St. Peter's 34 on the PeacocksNetwork.com. Well, St. Francis has outscored St. Peter's in every quarter. 17-13 in the first, 13-11 in the second, 19-10 now in the third. And they pulled away in that third quarter. Chris, what do you think were some of the key elements?
Well, the Peacocks missed some easy baskets, but so did St. Francis. I think it was more the same of what we saw in the first half. St. Peter's turning the ball over, and St. Francis getting some extra opportunities by getting on the offensive glass. So down the stretch here, the Peacocks definitely need to get Hughes involved. She has taken just 1 shot.
And have they ever got on the offensive glass? 22 offensive rebounds for St. Francis. St. Peter's with the basketball here to start the fourth quarter. Perro with a lob off the baseline drive by Martin, misses, follows, and is fouled. So Martin working hard. She missed what she thought she should have made and got it on the other side of the basket.
Coach Thurston goes to a 2-3 zone. Like to have the Peacocks work some time off the clock. St. Peter's got the ball in the high post, got the high-low. Martin missed it, was able to get it back and get fouled.
Perro with the good pass underneath to Martin, who makes the first. Deja Martin, the freshman, averages 3.2 points per game. She misses the second. She's got 9 points here this evening, and now Lochter manages to get the ball back from St. Francis off the turnover. St. Peter's will have it down by 14. Taylor Hughes remarkable that she's only taken one shot, Chris. The Peacocks' leading scorer. Cross court for Velas around the screen. Here's the pull up, and it's good.
Nice play, the flare screen for Velas. Some pressure on the perimeter, a couple of dribbles, and a good look from right of the lane.
She's got 11, but it's her first points since the first quarter. We're about a minute into the fourth. Foul on St. Peter's. Zoe Perro, her second. First team foul on St. Peter's. Substitutions for St. Francis. 3 of them. Right now it's O'Neill looking for Delaney to solve this press. Also helping is Pallarino, and that's who ends up getting the chest pass across to Delaney. To solve that press, it's O'Neill off the feed from Hickman. Hickman now setting the screen. Cross court, it's Pallarino. And now the deep corner jumper is good by Alex Delaney.
They really get their shots off quickly from the perimeter, right up to that set spot, and they let it go.
And that's a three-pointer from Delaney, who is 11th all-time in three-point field goals made for St. Francis. Other end, Lochner's shot high off the rim. A whistle, and they'll keep it in the St. Peter's end with the foul called on Taylor Hughes, her third. Rebound foul on Hughes. And just for her, it's been a difficult night. She does have 7 boards and 1 assist. Hughes coming into the game averaging 11 points per contest, which is 18th in the MAC. 1 shot. Got to say St. Francis has done the job defensively. In low is Hickman. Backing in on Martin. Puts it up. It's short. And that's Hughes right there getting the rebound off the hop. She secures it now. Continues to carry it into the St. Francis end. Into the left corner. Hands for Martin. Martin with the ball fake and her cross-court feed, deep right corner. Velas dribbles past the defender for the pull-up. This one too hard. And it's Hickman for St. Francis to O'Neill. 8 minutes left. Fourth quarter. St. Francis by 15. Here's Jay Johnson. He crouches low. Finds Hickman, now in low to Pallarino, driving right edge of the lane, misses. O'Neill with a follow, no. And now a foul called on St. Francis's Maria Pallarino.
Coach Thurston begging for the foul call, doesn't need to get a technical here. You understand his frustration, but we mentioned it earlier. They have let him really play underneath. They have not anticipated fouls. I mean, you know, there's so much of a cluster in the lane at times. We can't get a real good look at it, but their arms flailing and things of that nature. And that's what Coach Thurston was pointing out, wanted the foul call here. Peacocks down by 15. They desperately need to get it going on the offensive end.
All right, let's see what Lochner can do. Puts up a 3, and it's good. Straight away for Sammy Lochner, the sophomore from Abington, Pennsylvania. 52-40. You said it earlier, Chris. She can hit it from deep. Mostly sets the table for St. Peter's, but when she has the opportunity, and that's a big one for the Peacocks to stay in this game. And the drive by Delaney with the left hand. She seems far less comfortable with the left than the right, but still a St. Peter's foul on her way to the bucket. Zoe Perro, her third team. And now it's Bethea who undercut Casey Colangelo. Colangelo with the left hand, and she'll now have 2 shots. Missed the shot, but she'll be at the free throw line.
Entering tonight's action, the Terriers just 57% from the foul line. St. Peter's already with 14 fouls. Not only does, it stop the clock on the previous possession, it gives St. Francis a fresh 30. They didn't need it, but also you're putting St. Francis at the line, and they have shot the ball pretty well tonight.
And Colangelo makes the first, misses the second from the free throw line tonight. St. Francis now 11 of 16, so a little better than their season average. Pero whips a pass with the right hand into Martin. The layup no good. Actually, that was Ashley Howe who has entered the game for St. Peter's. Another layup attempt missed by St. Peter's, and one of the things is they've certainly missed some easy shots. Howe now gets a piece of that shot by Carangelo, but Carangelo doing well to tap it back out, now gets it back in, right edge of the lane. No, Howe can't manage to get the rebound, so there's the put up by Carangelo again, and what an effort by Carangelo, but she comes away with nothing to show for. Pero for St. Peter's, 2 hour right. St. Peter's looking to score to the bucket, 2 hour right. 4 minutes gone by. Fourth quarter, 53-40. St. Peter's trailing by 13. Lochter now backs up on the dribble between the circles. Pat Coyle will call for time with 9 seconds to shoot.
And the Peacocks will have just one timeout remaining. Coyle sensing this is a big possession. You want to try and get it under 10 and go from there. Peacocks were stagnant, so she decides to call a timeout. So we'll see what Coach Coyle will come up with when we return.
Right now conversing with Phyllis Mangina, her 5-year assistant coach. They've been here together. Mangina gave her fill as to what she might see, and now it's being set up. We'll take a momentary break with 5:58 to play. It's St. Francis 53, St. Peter's 40 on the PeacocksNetwork.com. St. Peter's down by 13. Glenn Crooks and Chris Radicke, perhaps one bright spot. You're getting some consistent scoring from Alyssa Vellis. 17 in the semifinal victory over Delaware in the Hawk Classic. 13 in the championship game, a loss to St. Joe's, and 11 here tonight, 3 consecutive games in double figures. But she did go dry from the first quarter to a minute into the fourth as well.
Wasn't getting the same looks.
Taylor Hughes, her second shot is good from three-point range. 53-43, so the timeout worked for St. Peter's as they set it up and got the three from Taylor Hughes, her first points of the night. Here's the leading scorer on the evening, Jade Johnson. Now into the corner, Casey Carangelo. It's Alex Delaney on the dribble with the left hand, waits for the screen. She'll take the three and knocks it down.
That is a killer. You set up the play for Hughes off the timeout. She gets a screen along the baseline to get an open three from the corner, and then you give it right back.
To make it 56-53, pull up by Martin. No. Rebound in the middle of the lane taken by Amy O'Neill, the 5'6 junior.
Peacocks now 17 of 50 from the field. We harped on the offensive rebounds for St. Francis, the Peacock turnovers. But when they look at the film after this game, how many open looks have the Peacocks just missed?
And here's a nice little scoop assist by O'Neill to Carangelo, who lays it into the right of the basket.
And we talked about that a bunch of times as well. Peacock defender losing sight of the basketball.
58-43, quick lob underneath Howe. Nice assist to Pero. Zoe Pero. That's her second bucket. She's got 4. But St. Peter's averaging 61 points a game coming in. Got 45 with 4 minutes and 15 seconds to play. Firing up with the left hand. That was Dorenzo from the right corner. Tossed it up there. St. Peter's grabbing the rebound. Here's Taylor Hughes trying to take charge. Pero for the middle of the circle, and she switches the straightaway jumper.
A nice shot by Pero, but we've seen both her and Bethea take long twos. A couple inches back, you're down by 13 at the time. You really need that extra point.
Pero will defend now against Delaney, who finds DiRenzo along the right sideline. And another backdoor cut and lay-in, as this time it was Davion Magazine beaten by Amy O'Neill. Magazine between the circles now, backs up on the dribble, setting up an acceleration, but it's defended well by St. Francis. Pero looking for Ashley Howe underneath with the right hand. She tossed it in, had a little bit too much on it.
Pero looking for the high-low opportunity before it just worked. That time the defender fronting the post player. Coach Coyle tells Pero, you need to get that ball to the wing. The wing player has a better angle to get it into the post.
All right, Chris, 3:15 to play, fourth quarter. St. Francis commanding lead at the moment. They lead it over St. Peter's 60-47 on the PeacocksNetwork.com. All right, here we go again. 3:15 to play. Both teams break the huddle after the timeout. St. Francis has the basketball to the left of their own basket. Amy O'Neill will trigger. O'Neill's had a solid all-around game. 6 points, 5 assists, 3 rebounds. And that's the way most of her matches go. Right wing Delaney. St. Francis once again solving the St. Peter's pressure in the backcourt. St. Peter's has failed to gain a turnover in that sort of pressure situation. Backing up on the dribble is Pallarino, right wing. Cross court for O'Neill. Poked away by Lochter and taken by Velas. It's a 2-on-3 break, but ahead is Bethea. And what a block from behind. I think it was Johnson. Bethea scooping the layup instead of going up strong.
Talked about it before. Both coaches unhappy. We've seen a lot of swatting at the basketball when players have been going to the basket, and they just haven't called these fouls.
60-47. St. Francis has the basketball right to left. Second half. Johnson, very long three. Didn't miss by much. Rattled out. Lochter has the ball handed to her by Bethea, and another St. Peter's turnover as the ball poked away and taken by O'Neill. O'Neill now will walk it in to the St. Peter's end.
And she deserves to walk it up. She has been all over the floor. Ton of energy from O'Neill tonight. Good sense of when to pass and when to try and score.
This time, Delaney, her three-point field goal attempt falls short, so Velas will take it, sprinting into the St. Francis end. Bethea now head of the circle. Here's Lochter off the ball screen from Bethea. Cross-court Velas. Left corner, Taylor Hughes, short. And great box out by Jay Johnson in front of Ashley Howell. Rebound, St. Francis. They're in control. It would be a miracle at this point, down by 13, a minute 20 to play. And the Terriers have the basketball with the big lead over St. Peter's. Here's the pull-up, and it's good by Jay Johnson. She just took time off the clock and then found her spot.
And she has that quick release. She gets the ball up to her set position so fast. We've talked about it a couple of times. You really can't give her any room. She missed that three 2 possessions ago, and it was a good look. She was about 25 feet away.
And back at the other end, Bethea finds Hal in a great spot, and another missed layup. 62-47, St. Peter's is going to move to 3 up and 4 down, and the Terriers, it'll be just their second win in 6 games. On the drive, Jade Johnson, and she's blocked on her way. She really wasn't even making her way to the basket, just angling right. Jade Johnson at the free throw line, and what a night for her. 26 points on 10 of 18, 5 of 10 from behind the three-point arc. And with the free throw, it's good. She's 2 of 3 for the line now. 5 rebounds, 2 assists. She's a good player, Chris.
Good sense of how to play the game. Obviously, she's showing it tonight, a breakout game for Johnson as that international experience, and that certainly helps.
Makes the second, 28 points for Johnson. 12 over her career high. 5'9" guard. She's a sophomore here from Adelaide, Australia. Pull up by Taylor Hughes is good. So Hughes, who has been quiet throughout, now with 5 points. Back the other way, St. Francis Pallarino. She could have gone 2-2 strong to the hole, but elects to pull up as it's 14 seconds left of the game. Shot clock is off. Johnson to Delaney. 4 seconds left. Backdoor, that would have been an appropriate way to end it if O'Neal had converted, but she misses the reverse. Buzzer sounds, and that'll do it. Disappointing night for St. Peter's with a chance to move over 500, which has been a rarity for them at this juncture of the season. But it's St. Francis with the win 64-49, and you could look at the score line, Chris, and easily say, well, Jay Johnson, but it was a more complete effort than that on the St. Francis side than just one player.
Well, you look at the offensive rebounds. They got on the glass as a team. They shared the basketball. For the most part, the right players took the right shots. They didn't turn the ball over much. So St. Peter's coming into tonight's game, certainly this was a winnable game. You only have 3 non-conference home games this season. We had a decent crowd behind us, and the Peacocks, after those first few minutes of the first quarter, just couldn't get it going.
All right, the next game coming up will be December 7th against UMass Lowell. The conference season doesn't begin till just before the end of the year, a December 28th game at Manhattan. We are now joined by assistant coach Phyllis Mangina. And Phyllis, I'm sure you entered this game, and especially watching the first portion of the first quarter, thinking, this is a winnable game, but then St. Francis took over at that point.
Well, we went out at 10-2. We started 10-2, and since then they just took over the game. I mean, they killed us on the offensive glass. I don't know what the final stat was, but
25.
I mean, you can't give up 25 offensive rebounds and expect to win a basketball game. And then we did not play 23 at all. I mean, that kid had a career night. I think Johnson's averaging about 11.5 points. And what did she end up with, like 28 or 30
28,
tonight?
Yeah.
I mean, we didn't find her. And then we were supposed to close down on her and make her put the ball on the floor. And all the things we talked about, we didn't do. Plus, we need to get Alyssa more shots. She was hot early. And then we stopped moving the basketball. We stopped going side to side. But the offensive boards, Coach said in the very beginning of the game in the locker room, whoever won the battle on the boards, because this team's a really physical, aggressive kind of team, was going to win the game, and they crushed us on the board. So we just can't have that. I don't even know if Alyssa, did Taylor score? I mean, Taylor has to.
Well, it didn't seem like it, but she did get a couple of down the stretch, finished with 5.
Well, you know what? We
can't
have that. We need to have her be more aggressive, and she knows this. I'm not telling you anything I don't think I say to her. She needs to be more aggressive earlier. She needs to be more aggressive offensive earlier. She started doing some good things at the end of the second quarter when she got about 4 or 5 offensive boards maybe. But we just have to do a much better job on the boards, and we're capable of scoring more points than. I mean, we scored 80 points against a really good Delaware team. And I'm not saying anything. I mean, I thought St. Francis played well tonight. I thought they did what they had to do to us. They got the ball to their hot player, and they attacked the glass on us. That really hurt us.
And it was like you were sitting here with us. This wasn't a difficult game really to analyze.
Not at all.
The turnovers, the offensive rebound, a bunch of times on the defensive end. You guys caught with your head turned, not seeing the basketball, and then once they got the lead, they could spread the floor and backside.
Exactly. Yeah, we played right into what they want to do, right? You give a team like this the lead, then they can spread you and they're backdooring you and they're running you around until they can, drive and kick to a 3. But you can't win with 25 offensive boards against you and 19 turnovers.
Even though they only shot 31%, they had 70 shots.
Yeah, but they had 70 shots.
And
I mean, that's 70 shots. If you shoot 30% and take 70, like
right.
Our goal this year is to take 70 shots, take more than more shots than our opponent, because we usually don't. And that means we need to be on the board. If we're going to miss, we need to be on the boards. So, this was a game that worried me because I know John very well. I know their staff very well, and I understand the way he likes to play. We just needed to be more aggressive, offense. I mean, we had to rebound the ball. We didn't rebound the ball. If we rebound the ball, we have to not give them 15 less shots.
Right.
If you get 15 less shots, we get 15 more. Now we have an even number of shots during the game, and we shot the ball a little better than they did. Isn't that crazy?
And from three-point range, you were 6 of 14. They were 8 of 22.
Well, that's what I mean. But
yeah.
you keep giving them second, third, and fourth shots, I can score.
And there were possessions where they had maybe 4 or 5 cracks.
Yeah, exactly.
At it.
So I mean, we've got to do. When we're a better team than that on the boards, we've got rebounders on our team, and they just took it. Honestly, good for them. They played a good game. They did what they had to do to win, and that was go get boards. And we just did not do that tonight. So we have to do a better job.
You have a week to regroup. You head up to.
Yeah, we get UMass here, UMass Lowell here, and then we go up to UMass. So, this is a big week. We got to get better over the next week, and then we got to, we keep talking about protecting this home court. We have to make this a hard place for people to come and play. And until you keep winning at home, people don't. They think they can come in here and beat you. And until you stop people from beating you here and make this tough. We have to do that, and we have to take that really seriously about doing that.
And every home game is important when you only play 4 in the non-conference.
Well, exactly, and that's, obviously people want to come here and play us. So, but we're better, and we'll work, and we'll get better this week. We got a couple. We'll take a day or so off, and then we'll come in and be able to practice and, correct some things and get better with some stuff. So.
Is that part of your frustration because it has been better?
Oh, it's been so much better. I can't tell you how frustrating, to see us play against a team like Delaware and even at NJIT to come back and beat them, we're away and beat somebody, I don't care who they are or where they've been, but to go and beat Delaware and play with the focus, intensity, and the energy and just the execution, getting the ball to people who had to get the ball, and they're the best rebounding team in that conference, and we beat them by 11 boards. They are beasts on the board. So to come in here and get manhandled on the boards is disappointing, to say the least.
All right, Phyllis. Well,
thank you guys. We appreciate you being. No, we've got a good group. They work hard. We're young, obviously. We're playing a lot of young kids, but they got to grow up fast because we need them to help us be a better team. So, but we appreciate it, guys. Thank you.
All right, see you soon.
Okay.
Phyllis Mangina, assistant coach, St. Peter's University, and you're like you had said early on in the interview. Everything sounded like the way you described it.
Well,
they're seeing the same thing from the sideline.
And and that's what you have to like about Coach Mangina, the honest assessment of what was going out on the floor. She gave St. Francis credit, but you can tell in her voice this is one the Peacocks really wanted.
But they did not get it. A big reason why: Jay Johnson, 28 points, followed by Alex Delaney with 15. Casey Carangelo had 7. Amy O'Neill, 6. Maria Pallarino, 5 for St. Francis. 2 from Dana Dorenzo, and Amy Anderson had 1. On the St. Peter's side, they were led by Alyssa Velas, the senior, with 11. Deja Martin had 9. Sammy Lochner with 8. Zoe Perro and Sajana Bethea with 6 each. Bethea will enter the next game 8 points shy of 1,000 for her career. Taylor Hughes, and it's one of the things, how about that? Phyllis Mangina didn't remember her scoring, which is interesting unto itself, but Hughes, their leading scorer, took only 4 shots, finished with 5. Davion Magazine had 2. Ashley Howe also with a bucket.
You don't want to be too critical, but we talked about it as well. Coach can say it, but the points that Hughes scored were after it was over. They set up a play for her. She hit a 3, and then she hit another basket late, but you're a senior. You have to be a bit more assertive. And if you're one of the best players on the team, you're not being selfish. You have to look to score the basketball. There might be a bad shot every now and again, but be aggressive. And we didn't even really mention it much, but the Peacocks going to the line at home just 5 times. So 5 free throws for the Peacocks. They made 3. So that usually is a sign that you're not aggressive enough, though we have to throw in that caveat that the officials weren't really calling them much in the paint tonight.
All right, Chris, well, that'll do it for us. Again, a disappointing result for St. Peter's as they drop a home game to St. Francis of Brooklyn, 64-49. Our next broadcast will be Wednesday, December the 6th, when the St. Peter's University men's program, off the big win last night, will play host to Houston Baptist. That'll be a 7 p.m. tip-off. The women will play the following night at home against UMass Lowell. Will be here for that one as well, also at 7 o'clock. Again, for Chris Radicke, I'm Glenn Crooks from St. Peter's University and the Yanatelli Center. Once again, the final score, St. Francis of Brooklyn 64 and the Peacocks 49. You're listening to St. Peter's University basketball on the PeacocksNetwork.com.